Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Godet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching NowMedia Television.
Hi, I'm Michael Rager, your business guide, and welcome to Biz Talk TV here on the NowMedia. Social media platforms. We're everywhere here on NowMedia, man. I tell you, we're TV, we're radio, social media, everywhere. That's what we want to do, and here today to help you grow your business. It's what it's all about. Biz Talk TV is all about helping you, the small business owner, grow your business. I want to start out a little bit today and talking about, I'm hearing it all the time, Mike, how do I grow my business? How do I grow my business? There's so many things out there, and I'm going to tell you, there's only three ways to really grow your business, all right? And these are the things we got to focus on. Number one is you got to get more clients, all right? You just got to get clients. What do we see a lot of in business, as a business coach, is I see a lot of times that business owners don't even know who their clients are. They're trying to go out there, they spend a lot of time, they spend money, a lot of effort just to get anybody to come in, and that's not what's going to help them grow their business. We want to get the right clients that are going to pay us a top dollar for what we do. The second thing is to get them to pay a little bit more. Right now we hear everything in the world about inflation. This is more expensive, that's more expensive. I'm going to tell you, about 90% of the business owners I talk to, they haven't raised their prices in 4 to 5 years. Things are even cheaper than they were pre-COVID. So we got to go out there, we got to get them to pay more. And we can get them to pay more by upselling, offering more value, other products and services that they normally wouldn't buy. One of the things that came about is, if you remember the day, if you're old enough, you used to remember when you didn't go to those drive-through restaurants and order a number 1 and number 2 or number 3. You went in there, you ordered your burger, and then the next thing the person said was, would you like fries with that? And the reason you need to ask that question is 37% of people will say yes if you go do it. You can see it right now. You can see it on our digital platforms. You go buy something on one of the digital media, you go buy it, and then when it pops up right after that, people who bought this also bought this. And they do that because they know 1 in 3 of you will click and they will buy something else. So we got to get them to pay more. The third thing we got to do is get them to come buy again. No matter what you do, you got to be good enough and provide a good enough service that they come back. For example, in the restaurant industry, if you own a restaurant, if you can get somebody to come in 3 times, chances are it's like 67% of the time they're going to become a regular customer. So you got to be able to figure these things out. You got to understand your numbers. And in every business that's out there, there's ways to go help you, and there's numbers that are going to go help you. I'm sorry, I lost train of thought there. There's numbers that are going to help you go ahead and make more money. And that's what we need to do, is we need to make more money as business owners. That way we pour back into the economy, things get better, everybody wins, and we're going to go from there. So I hope that adds a little bit. Remember, 3 ways to make more money and grow your business: get more clients, get them to pay more, and make sure they buy again. So we're going to come back. We're going to talk to my good friend Jennifer Drago, and she's going to talk about keeping score in business. That's one of the most important things you need to do. So we're going to be right back after this word from our sponsors, and we're going to have Jennifer Drago coming on, and she's going to really put some great information into your business.
Hey y'all, Fathead here with Fathead Spices. My goal is to give you Texas-made spices, rubs, and food products for all your events. Whether it's outdoor, indoor, or just hanging out at the deer lease, we got you covered. We're proud of our customer service. We want to help you make your food better. One thing's for sure, y'all, life's short, spice it up.
Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business guide, Michael Rager. And hey, coming in our studio right next door is going to be my good friend, Jennifer Drago. She's joining us here today in the NowMedia TV studios, and Jennifer is going to talk about why it's important to keep score in your business. So Jen, take it away.
Welcome to Peak to Profit, where each week we share practical and tactical guidance to help you lead a profitable business. I'm Jennifer Drago, award-winning strategist and business coach. I help businesses develop a laser-focused strategy and roadmap for business growth so that they can earn more, work fewer hours, and amplify the impact they have in the world. As a business leader, it's important to measure the activity that will move you toward your business goals and promote the success of your business. Many people shy away from true measurement of their business activity, and if this is you, I implore you to build a scorecard and review it regularly in your business. A great business scorecard provides a barometer of how you and your team members are progressing on their goals, and it can also give you clues about your business health. Why is this important? Simply put, what gets measured gets done. And I'll give you an analogy, and it's something we've probably all avoided in our life. That's stepping on the scale. When we don't step on the scale, we tend to not be as attuned to what we put in our mouth. In contrast, when we regularly step on the scale and watch our metrics, our eating generally improves. It's the same in your business. You can develop activity-based metrics in your business that directly relate to your business success. And when you do that, you create clarity and accountability for yourself, but also for your team members. In fact, it's a best practice that everyone on your team has ownership of at least one metric that is under their direct control and influence. So what are the advantages of maintaining a scorecard in your business? Well, there are several. First, numbers are completely objective, and you can cut through murky interpretations or subjective communication using metrics. Either we are meeting an objective, we are not. Now, there may be good reasons for a variance, but we will easily see what we need to improve when we look at a scorecard and look at those numbers. The second thing is that numbers create accountability. When you set a number, everyone knows what the expectation is. Accountability in leadership begins with clear expectations, and nothing is clearer than a numeric objective. Thirdly, accountable people appreciate numbers. As a leader in your business, I hope that you consider yourself accountable and that you have an appreciation for your numbers. When your team members know the numbers they're striving for, they can enjoy being part of a culture where everybody is accountable. Stated another way, numbers create teamwork. When a team shares a certain metric, they can be creative on how to hit that metric and how to both challenge and cheer each other on. Numbers can create clarity and commitment. When an employee is clear on the metric they're working toward, you can have engagement and commitment because there's no gray area. And finally, when you're actively monitoring your metrics, you can solve problems faster, especially when you're tracking activity-based metrics that drive success. You can see when something is off track and immediately address it and correct it. So now that we've talked about the advantages of maintaining an organizational scorecard, let's talk about what types of things to include in your scorecard. I like to have at least 2 distinct areas of my scorecard. First, I like to list the strategic goals and tactics for the year with associated timelines and ownership. That's on my strategic scorecard. This allows me to see in one location how we're doing to achieve the strategic work that we set out to achieve that given year. A second area that I like to have on my scorecard is an operational area. When you're forming your operational scorecard, you want to focus on activity-based numbers. That is, the activity that will drive your customer results. An example that you would not include on an operational scorecard are numbers from your profit and loss statement. Those revenue and expense numbers can already be viewed on your income statement. Now, please don't get me wrong, your income statement is extremely important, but the reason that we don't use these numbers on our operational scorecard is that they are lag measures. Those are measures that are the result of activity that has taken place in the prior weeks and months. Instead, we want to track lead measures or activity-based metrics that measure the activity we're taking today in our business to produce the sales and revenues for tomorrow. For example, lead measures would be how many leads, sales leads, were generated this week. How many contacts did we make to existing leads and to new leads? How many conversions did we have into sales? And what is our conversion rate? So you can clearly see that all of those activities lead to sales and revenues. If any of the activities are off or aren't meeting target, we can easily correct them so that we stay on track and move toward our goals. So I hope that today's discussion has you thinking about the metrics that could be useful in moving your business forward toward your goals. Your action takeaway today is to create a scorecard for your business and to monitor it weekly. If you have team members, be sure that you're creating ownership and engagement around metrics that they contribute to and involve them in monitoring the scorecard weekly as well. You will see an immediate positive impact from the moment you implement this process in your business. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Hey, that's some great information there, Jen, because it's really important as a business owner to track your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, there's no way you know if you're winning or you're losing. That's one of the most important things out there. So we're going to come right back after this, and we're going to talk to our good friend, the bookkeeper, Kristen Gunderson, and she's going to talk about relationships with your bank and why do you want to have a good relationship with your bank. So I'm Michael Rager, your business guide here on NowMedia TV. We'll be back right after this.
If you have the perfect health insurance plan and you don't want to save any money, you might want to stop listening now. However, if you are like the rest of us who know that the number one cause of bankruptcy is unexpected medical costs due to subpar coverage, you really want to listen closely. Even if you owe 20% of your medical costs for a large claim, like cancer or a bad accident, it will wipe out the wealth you've worked for your entire career. That's why when it comes to choosing health insurance, it's important to get the right coverage for you and your family. I'm April Clark with Clark Health Insurance. My mission and passion is to simplify the process for small business owners, families, and self-employed individuals. Protect your health and start saving money on your insurance today.
Hey, are you a small business owner that's struggling to double or triple your revenue and profits? My name is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide with Teach Your Business to Fish. Our success operating system will help you double or triple your profits every 2 to 3 years while actually maintaining some semblance of a home life. Call us at 713-201-5559 and we'll help you become a real success. Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your host and guide, Michael Rager, on the NowMedia TV channels. So we're talking to our good friend and bookkeeper, Kristen Gunderson. Kristen, how are you today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on your talk show today, Michael. Glad to be here.
Man, this is a subject that I got to talk to all my clients about. Relationships with bankers and bank loans. Tell me a little bit about the difference when we start looking at big banks, small banks, SBA. What should business owners look for, and what do the banks look for from the business owner?
Well, A lot of times, like if you're not with that bank, like if you don't have a bank account with that bank, nowadays they're not even considering giving you a loan. So you definitely want to have a relationship with a banker and be able to talk with them. And if they move banks or whatever, like go ahead and maybe open up a new bank account with them, for that you are building that relationship with that bank in the future in case you do need to get a business loan.
So when we go looking at banks versus SBA, what's the difference between a bank and an SBA? Why should business owners even worry about it?
Well, if you are already an existing business and you're thinking about, okay, I might need to get a piece of equipment or maybe buy some inventory for the Christmas rush that's coming, or maybe you're seasonal, like you're a lawn company and, you know, the winter's really dead, but the summer's really busy, you may need to get a loan to cover some costs that are unexpected, or if you want to expand your business. And if you already have an existing business, the best bet to go is to start off with your bank that you're already banking at. If you are thinking about getting into a business or buying a business or buying real estate for your business, and you don't really have that credit built up and have, you know, a few years worth of financials from your business, you might want to consider doing the SBA route. The SBA doesn't necessarily lend you money, but they help you with everything that you need to get started, and they will also direct you to the best lender for you that is backed by the SBA that helps out small business owners.
So, as a business owner, do we want to be looking at the big banks? Do we want to be looking at the small banks? What's more advantageous for us, the business owner?
Well, I personally bank at the small banks, and I know everyone when I walk in the door, and that goes a long way. I talked with a smaller bank, and they're like, you know, we're kind of the good old boy system still. So if we know you, we know your character, we can see your credit history, like there's a better chance that you'll be getting a loan with them. Whereas if you're a big banker, the big banks, like they want to see the history of you banking with them. Like I said earlier, they won't even give you a chance if you don't have a bank account with them. And then like if you wanted to get a credit card, like you have to be banking with them for a year to even be considered to get a credit card with those bigger banks.
Now, one of the things that I did, I switched over to a credit union. How can we look at credit unions versus bank, and how is it beneficial to the business owner?
I kind of think of the credit union as like the smaller banks. Like it's based off of your character and your reputation and who you know in those banks. So, but those would be also a really great option for small businesses. A lot of times people would rather stick with the credit unions because they feel like if they walk in and if, you know, they're well known or have that relationship, they can definitely get the loan. And but even if it really depends on, they have a lot of different factors that go into play, regardless of if you're a smaller bank or credit union or the bigger bank. They definitely will be looking at your credit score, your credit history. And the main thing that the banks look for is they want to look at your profit and loss and your balance sheet, and they're looking for to make sure that you're making a profit. One of the bigger banks told me that they look to see like 1 to 10% of a net profit on your profit and loss. But then the other thing is, like with almost any bank, they are looking at your cash flow. So cash flow, they want to be able to see that you can cover all of your normal expenses. They're going to be looking at your profit and loss by month for a year or two, and they want to see how much money you got left at the end of each month, and do you have enough money to be able to cover the new loan? And if something like an emergency pops up, do you have extra cash after that loan that you can still cover any unexpected expenses?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of knowing your numbers and where your numbers come in. You said knowing profit and loss and all that thing. It's important. You know, most business owners don't realize that the average business in the United States only profits 10%.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot less than people think,
and
really that's
is.
what we need to go at. So we go start looking at numbers. You talk about P&L statements and stuff like that. Most business owners are not really good at understanding them. What should they know? What should they know in their P&L statement?
Well, obviously you need to know what your revenue is, the top line revenue, you want to know that. And then your cost of goods sold, like that should be a separate chunk underneath the income. And that's like if you're having to buy inventory and you're selling the inventory, like that cost of goods sold, like any labor that goes directly into selling whatever your product or service is, any job costs that are directly related to selling that product or service. And after that number, you will have what's called your gross profit. And the gross profit, like, then you have all of your expenses to be able to run everything else off of. So rent and payroll, insurance, office supplies, advertising. And there's just some key things like you want to look at, like payroll, and it differs from industry to industry, but payroll is typically at least 25% of your payroll or your total income cost. Advertising, it really depends on if you're business to business. Advertising is normally about 3 to 5%. If you're business to consumer advertising, it could be like 5 to 7%. And then the main thing is you want to see what that bottom line is, that net profit. If you're at 10%, you're doing awesome. If you're at like 5%, like it's like you need to talk to someone and maybe like a CFO, like get some help, like what do we need to do to be growing the business a little bit more. And if you're below 5%, like I don't want to say call 911, but like you're seriously you need help. And if it's below zero,
well, there's three things I teach my clients. We call it the 555, and it's a way to increase profits 35%. Number one is raise your prices 5%. Most business owners have not raised their prices in a long time. Number two is cut that COGS 5% and cut fixed costs 5%. If you can do those three things, you're not going to do it immediately, but if you can work on it, that's a 35% increase in profit.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, and it's something that you need. But one of the things you mentioned was the CFO, and one of the things that really scares me as a business coach, when I go in and I ask business owner, hey, who's looking at your finances and what's going on? And if they say my CPA, it scares the crap out of me, because CPAs look backwards, CFOs look forward.
Exactly.
And so you're offering CFO services and stuff like that. Why is it important to have a fractional CFO or somebody to help you look forward?
Well, exactly. The CPA looks backwards. They're looking at what's happened in the past. And like if you are at 0% profit, like you're hurting, like you need an emergency help. Whereas CFOs, like basically they take their, whatever the CEO's vision is, what is your mission statement, and goals do you have for the year or 5 years or 3 years? And it's the CFO's job is to be able to analyze the previous bookkeeping work that's been done, and then come up with a game plan of what do we need to change. There's like 12 drivers that I look at of what do we need to change in the business that affect profit, income, your income statement, and your take-home pay. And what changes can we make? And a lot of it is maybe increasing the price, or maybe it's increasing advertising or spending advertising at a better spot. It could be reducing cost of goods sold, negotiating with your vendors. How can we reduce your cost of goods sold? So looking at those vendors and then being able to project out, like if we do these things, projecting out like we will meet this goal that the CEO has set in a year time or 3 years time.
Well, one of the things that gets them in trouble is we talked about lending at the beginning. If you go in and you're using a CPA and the object is to pay no tax, that means you've made no money.
Exactly.
And those banks look at you and say, why do I want to give you money? You made none.
They're not going to give you any money if you're not making any money. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, I don't want to pay taxes. If you are paying taxes, it's because you're making money. You're being blessed. You're doing an awesome job. Now, obviously, it's the CPA's job to reduce the amount of taxes that you're paying. But if you're paying taxes, it means that your business is doing awesome. And unless you're making money, the bank is not going to give you a loan.
Yeah, it's one of those things that people get to the point they got to go recreate some of their P&L statements because they went and did things the wrong thing. So Kristen, man, this has been some great information. Tell people how to get a hold of you, and we'll go from there. All
right. Again, I'm Kristen with Gunderson's Bookkeeping. You can call us at 936-372-2661. You can check out our website at www.gundersonsbookkeeping.com, or you can find us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Gunderson's Bookkeeping.
Well, that was some great information. Thank you, Kristen. I really appreciate it. So I'm Michael Rager, your business guide here on Biz Talk TV. We're going to be back right after this.
Hey y'all, Fathead here with Fathead Spices. My goal is to give you Texas-made spices, rubs, and food products for all your events. Whether it's outdoor, indoor, or just hanging out at the deer lease, we got you covered. We're proud of our customer service. We want to help you make your food better. One thing's for sure, y'all, life's short, spice it up.
¿Alguna vez has deseado obtener mayor concentración y energía para ser más productivo? ¿O has deseado volver a dormir como cuando eras un niño y despertar descansado y listo para salir con toda la energía del mundo? Hola, mi nombre es Marisa Burres con My Vital Sea. Nuestra empresa ha estado produciendo durante más de 30 años esta molécula que llamamos ESS60. Ayuda con su visión, ayuda a las articulaciones y la flexibilidad. Ordene My Vital Sea con ESS60 en aceite de oliva, aceite MCT o aceite de aguacate en nuestro enlace www.vitaless60.com. Contáctanos al 832-463-1919 o al 888-441-1993 o por correo electrónico a marisa@myvitalsea.com.
Hey, I'm your business guide, Michael Rager. Welcome back to Biz Talk TV here on the NowMedia Television networks. Hey, we're my good friend, Kat Becker. I've been so jealous. Kat's been traveling around the world, learning great things and improving her business. So we got a little Coaching with Kat segment here, and we're going to talk about building a business with your spouse. Kat, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Michael. Thanks so much for having me again.
Oh, of course. It's one of my favorite segments of the week. So we're going to talk about something that all of us think about, I think, at one time or another. Going into business with our romantic partner, our spouse, whatever. Good idea or bad idea? How do we start kicking that idea off?
Well, it depends, which is not the definitive answer that people want to hear. But when you think about going into a marriage, it's kind of like going into a business. You know, you're now making shared decisions together. You have shared bank accounts, and you might have different directions on vision, like where do you want to live? What do you want to do? How do you want to spend your time? So when you're thinking about in terms of marriage and business, it's very, very similar. So the same sort of things that you think about before you go into a relationship need to be thought about before you go into business with someone that you're in a relationship with. And there's a lot of benefits if it's done well and if it's set up well. So it really comes down to what are those expectations that you set at the beginning and what are those boundaries? Because anyone who's been in business knows that there's good times and there's bad times. And so when you're in those bad times, that's when those boundaries become really, really important. You know, if you're not making money, we know that divorce, money issues are a huge part of reasons that people get divorced. So if money issues are a problem in the business, that can then spill over into the relationship as well. So there needs to be clear issues. And then also, what if someone's not, carrying their own weight? They're not doing what's expected of them. How to deal with those without making it too personal. So it becomes a little bit challenging to separate. If you're clear about what those rules are in the beginning, it could be something that could work out for you. There are reasons that it can work out and make it a good thing.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I always worried about. You know, I was in business with somebody that I was dating a long time ago, and when things weren't going well, you know, how do you coach somebody through that? How do you coach a couple through that? Business is business, our relationship's our relationship, and how do we keep those two things apart?
It becomes really emotional. Mm-hmm. And that's really what the crux of it is. And that's something that I work a lot with my personal clients, is being able to kind of control those thoughts. And so something that is a really great tip for anybody is in the morning, setting the intention for what you want to feel that day. So if you've got some sort of big meeting coming up, you know, setting the intention of how you're wanting that to go. And if things are rough, setting that intention of how you want it to get better and being able to put yourself in that mindset and control those thoughts so that they're not just spinning around and running havoc, because a lot of times that can be the problem. if you're not having that clear communication with one another on how to best handle it, it can make things quite difficult. So it's really about making sure you have those boundaries. And just like you would get a therapist in marriage, maybe having a business coach is a place where you can help have that extra outside perspective. And so that you're bringing in other people and presenting any issues to that third person, not as this is what she wants to do, this is what I want to do, and then putting it in that space, being like, this is the situation, how should we move forward? And the real problem, the real thing to worry about is you can either be right or you can get it right. And so making sure that you're both on that, what your mission is, and being really strong on what that why and why you're doing what you're doing, and saying, okay, what's the best for this business? What's the best for us as a couple? And learning to set aside those egos.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine. They were partners in a financial services company, and I remember one day they were talking about going into business with your partner, and that company was very big on that. You know, bring your partner together, grow the business. And then we'd be talking about, here we are driving into work, having this big major argument about our kids and what happened, and had to stop at the parking garage, give each other a kiss and say, all right, we're not talking about this till 5 o'clock. And then jump back, go in, smiles, happy face, everything, and then 5 o'clock, get back in and finish the argument. And, setting the boundaries on what you need to do there. But, one of my coaches, he talks about businesses save marriages, because you're right, he says most divorces don't happen because of lack of love, they happen because of lack of money. And when things get tough, especially when you're in a business where the spouses are together, those tough times really hurt. And getting that coach, how often, or when you're talking to your clients, do you try to tell them to get that coach or that therapist or whoever early? How early do you try to get that person into the relationship so they can really help those people?
Well, most of the time when people have come to me, I am a bit more on the alternative side of things on how I work sometimes. So usually people have come to me and they're like, well, I've tried everything else. But if someone is in that position now, it's an investment in the business to have that. And it's going to help in all areas, not just in any sort of personality really it comes down to this is employee conflict. And understanding how each person works and knowing that about one another is very important as well, to have that sort of frank conversation. I'm Catholic, and when I was got engaged to my husband in the Catholic Church, there's like a test that they give you to take it, and you both take it, and then they come together and say, okay, these are the places where you were in agreement and alignment. Here are places where you weren't, and having that conversation. So it's not a bad idea to have those kind of discussions early on. It's the same way that you'd have a prenup. You hope you never have to use it, but you have it there just in case, and it's in writing. And when you're writing it, you're not having the emotion that might come into it later when you're upset. So having those kind of things clearly written down is a really great suggestion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And when we look at that, especially, I think one of the most important things that has to do with any business relationship is having a well-crafted business. I want to say, holy crap! I lost my thought for a second.
So like a business plan.
I want to have my business plan, but I want to have my job description, and that's where I wanted to go. Is here is my role. I do a lot of EOS type stuff, so integrator and implementer. Who's the thought person? Whenever I go into a business relation, I bring it up. I'm not a detail person. I could care less about details. Just get me there. But we got to have everything written out. And how important is that in that relationship to understand is, hey, this is my roles. These are your roles. We got to sit down and talk about them and make sure we're both executing.
It's crucial. It's crucial because there are situations where you have two people that are coming into it, and 1 + 1 should equal 2. But if you are crossing over and doing each other's jobs, you no longer are 2. You might be 1, you might be less than 1, because you might be degrading and undoing what the other person is doing. You're doubling the work that you're doing in a negative way instead of a positive way. So by having that very clearly defined what are the descriptions, the roles and responsibilities of each person is very, very important. It's not always going to be beneficial if the two people are too similar, because then there's going to be a lot of places where you overlap. You want complementary skills that can each be tackling different aspects of the business so that you are maximizing your time instead of negating it.
I love it. I'd love to, maybe next time we take this and go a little different and talk about working with parents. Because that's a totally, oh my gosh, I've been coaching a couple of those. You want to talk about some interesting dynamics there and how things go and what goes on in that. So Kat, how do people, if they want to sit down and talk to you, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, if they are more emotional aspects of what they are dealing with, that is with my Coach with Kat. So it's www.coachwithkat.com. And that's where we can really delve into how to control those emotions, how to reframe your mind, and how to reposition what your thoughts are and how you think. But then on the other side, when I'm working with clients on helping them to set goals that they can actually achieve, that is my Result Setter business. And that is www.resultsetter.com.
Well, that's awesome. I'm telling you, if you're out there, you're thinking about going to business with your spouse, you're already there, you need to talk to this lady. She's going to help you. I know we've had some great conversations outside of the TV studio, and she's pretty smart, and she's going to help you, go ahead and push things in your business in the right direction. So thanks a lot for coming on today, Kat.
Thanks for having me, Michael. I can't wait to see you next time.
All right, we'll see you next time. So this is Michael Rager, your business guide. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about money, and we're going to talk with our good friend Matthew Paul, and we're going to be right back here on Biz Talk TV on the NowMedia Television networks right after this.
Are you a small business owner who's overwhelmed and exhausted? You've tried many strategies, but your business just isn't where you want it to be. You wish someone would give you a roadmap to grow your business so that you can finally live the life you've imagined. Now is the time to get crystal clear on your business strategy so that you can work smarter, not harder. With our support, you can fully step into your CEO role and run your business rather than your business running you. Hi, I'm Jen Drago, award-winning strategist and business coach. I help entrepreneurs and small business owners develop a laser-focused roadmap so that they can earn more, work fewer hours, and amplify their impact. Let's face it, most of the small business advice that's available online is cookie cutter and filled with fluff that will never serve you. It's time for you to stop doing things that aren't moving your business forward. I will help you develop an actionable, focused plan to grow your business in a way that lights you up. Contact me today at peaktoprofit.com to get started on your business growth roadmap.
Hey, welcome back. I'm your business guide, Michael Rager, here at Biz Talk TV on the NowMedia Television networks. I got my good friend Matthew Paul in studio, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, profit. Profit first. Matthew, how are you today?
I am blessed. How are you, Michael? It's a very, very windy and cold day, so happy to be here this morning.
Hey, I grew up in Michigan, and I got a little padding here to help me out, man. Yeah, the stuff my doc tells me I got to lose. But let's get right into it, man. Let's talk about profit. There's a book that came out a few years ago, right, called Profit First, and it's a new way of looking at your business. Tell me a little bit about it and, how you see this affecting business owners right now.
I'm a big fan of Profit First methodology. So if you look at the accounting standpoint, the GAAP accounting that we follow in the United States is sales minus all the expenses is profit. The problem with that whole thing is that on the paper, you may have a lot of money, but in reality, you will not, because you are not making any profit out of your business. Your expenses are too high. So what we do is we follow the methodology of Profit First, where we change the equation to sales minus profit is equal to expenses. And so we will make sure that you take a little bit of profit upfront, and then we adjust the expenses accordingly. And the reason why that works is because, I don't know, Michael, have you heard of this thing called Parkinson's Law? Mm-hmm, yeah. The Parkinson's Law says that, it will fill how much hour space and time that you give. So if you give 2 weeks for a job to be completed, it will sure enough take 2 weeks. And the same thing, if you give $100 for something to get completed, sure enough it will take $100. So if you don't have that $100, chances are we will be able to get it done at a much cheaper way. So that is the way that we look at this whole expenses and try to get a little bit of profit for the business owners.
Right. Well, I mean, I love it, and that's a way to go. You know, the average business owner, they don't realize only makes 10% profit. I mean, you Google search it, go do what you want. How much does the average business make? Is 10%. So when you're going ahead and you're running the profit first formula with your clients, how much are you having them take off the top? Are you going the whole 10%? Are you doing 5%? Where are you going, and what's the rationale behind it?
Yeah, it's not gonna be a one number in the beginning, right? You're gonna grow into whatever it is. So we will start with 10% if we can, and then if we can take the 10%, great, and then we wanted to grow it into 15% if you get there eventually over time, I said. But the whole thing, and I just wanted to give you an example. I was meeting with a business last week, and the man, he told me, man, I wish I could fire myself from the business. And that was very, very interesting, because he said, I've been working my tails off for the last all these years, and I'm not making any money, I'm not making any profit, I'm just making other people rich. And I said, that is the wrong way to look at it, Aaron, because now we are going to make sure that you get a profit up front and change everything else based on the profit you take.
Yeah, it's really funny is people don't realize I can show them how to double their profit in 2 minutes. Whether they'll do it or not, that's a totally different thing. You know, I got a simulator I use, and we kind of go through it, and it's two simple things. It's really increase your prices 5.5% and decrease your costs 5.5%.
There you go.
And so people, they don't look at that, and they don't specialize and take the time to look at that. So when you go start to look at somebody to help them increase their profit, you know, you just can't consistently just say, hey, I'm going to take more off the top. You know, because if you take more off the top, you're going to get yourself in trouble too.
Absolutely.
So how do you, when you're working with a Matthew, how do you get them to start looking at, hey, we're going to start here with 6%, 7%, and work our way to 10 by the end of the year? Where do you start looking in the P&L sheet, and where do you start looking at where they're spending money?
Yeah, so the first thing we do is to pull the P&L statement, and if you don't have one, that is right your problem. You need to have a good accountant, you need to have QuickBooks, whatever that you follow, and have a very good P&L statement. Then we will go and look at what are the cost of goods sold. Now, most of the people do not shop around with their vendors. They don't have good contracts with the vendors. And so we will have to work with some business lawyers to get some good contracts with the vendors so that they can get a little bit of cost-based pricing that for the products that they're trying to sell. And if it's a service organization, we will go directly into the expenses. And every question that, the question that I ask all the time when I see on the profit and loss statement is why? Hey, I spend X amount of money on my subscriptions. Why? Explain to me. And they will say, oh, this is a service that I'm using. How much return you are getting? None. And I'm like, why do you keep it then? Or when was the last time you made changes to this expenses? And we are a creature of habit, and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and finally they don't have any profit in their business.
Yeah, I know I did that. I do that with a lot of my clients. Very first thing to do is we go through the profit and loss statement, see where we're using money and spending money. I remember a client a couple of years ago, they took about $2.5 million a year in credit cards. And my question to them was, when's the last time you went and talked to your credit card processing company? And it had been like 4 years.
Yeah.
And they were paying 5.5%. We knocked it down to 2.5%. And now actually, I got a friend that we do some things that actually now the customers pay for the credit card processing fees. You know, so that right there was almost a 14 to 18% increase in profit right there. And you know, just looking at something like that.
It's a small thing, right? Just I mean, it's a very small thing. So the problem is that we are so used to looking at the sales, and in this country, we are all about, we need to get more revenue, we need to get more revenue. More revenue doesn't mean that it is more profit. Your aim is not to increase your revenue, your aim is to increase your profit, and if more revenue helps for it, great. And so what we do is, the revenue comes in, we take X percentage and move it out of the account as profit. We take Y%, move it out of it for taxes, because the last thing you want is owing money to the government. And then whatever that you have, we will go through it step by step. And the best example Mike gave in that book is, Michael, it's about the food habits that we have. The bigger the plate, the more food we eat, right? And it's as simple as that. So if we can make the plate smaller, chances are we'll be able to fit, and we will be okay. I don't think anybody has died in this country with starvation just because they used a small plate, and that's exactly what we apply in the businesses.
Yeah, you know, you're exactly right. Here's where I tell business owners, I see it all the time. They're going to go hire a business coach, and that business coach is talking about more revenue, customers. And the problem is if they don't understand the business itself, they can actually bankrupt the customer and make it even worse. I had a customer who walked through, looked at the operations, and you actually increase profit by increasing and becoming more efficient on the operation side.
Yep.
And I went through and they said the last business coach wanted to do this, 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 and this. And I went and talked to the operation manager. Said, well, what happened if we turn on the marketing spigot and we increase, your workload back here 20%? And the guy looked at me and said, you're crazy. We can't do it. We spent the first year working on how to become more efficient in the background. We didn't even touch marketing. We didn't even touch marketing for a year. Yep. But my competition was going in there and going, market, market, market. Don't worry, more revenue will solve the problem. No, it won't. So, you got to look at that.
Yeah. So here is the thing. I will give you another example, Michael. I have a business client, and I will look at the profit and loss statement. They spend X amount of money on their uniforms and then cleaning their uniforms because they have worked on the oil field, and obviously the uniforms needs to be cleaned and they need to replace quite often because it gets dirty, and I understand that. And they had not negotiated their contract for almost 6 years. And I'm looking at it and says, man, the prices have come down drastically during those days, and what happened? You are not even getting any volume based on this deal that you're having. And so we just made a phone call, and in that one phone call, the price was reduced by around 30%, and that is they didn't have to do anything. They just have to spend some time on the phone looking at the numbers, and they saved money. And that's what I'm talking about, making the plate small. If you can have a lower budget for your expenses, chances are, as a business owner, you are smart enough, you will be able to get there and you will have a lot of profit in your life.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just those little things, and just taking the time to go check them off and just move. So, Matthew, this is some really great stuff. How do people, get a hold of you and sit down and book a meeting with you so they can go through these things? Yeah,
so Michael, that's a good question. They can visit our website, or they can call my office at 281-435-1888. It's 281-435-1888. And if you are a business owner, or if you are running a business at a senior position, just give us a call. We will sit with you and go through your P&L statement and see whether we can even help you. And if we cannot help you, then great. Then we will disperse at that point. But if we can find something, then we will provide the feedback, so at least you can learn what are your next steps and go from there. And as business owners, if you don't make profit, you are actually losing life, because you can make more money working somewhere and not have the pride of running a business.
Yeah, I know. I see it all the time. Go work at Burger King instead of working in your business. It'd be easier. Some of the people work at business. I love it. I love what you're saying there, Matthew. It's great, and I love what you're doing for people. So can't wait to next week and see what we talk about then.
Absolutely. Yeah, nice having you, Michael, in the show.
All right, man. This is Michael Rager, your business guy, and I'm here on Biz Talk TV on the NowMedia Television networks. We're going to be back right after this.
Hello, my name is Colleen Meagle and I'm an attorney. Let's talk business. Do you have a business that you want to buy or sell? It's crucial to get an attorney involved sooner rather than later in any sale process, because the moment that documents are signed, your leverage goes right out the window. So make sure that you get what you really want and protect yourself in the process. So if you're looking to sell, let's talk. I've handled acquisitions for Fortune 200 companies and helped numerous business owners discover how a great lawyer is a partner in a transaction, guiding you through the process and preventing you from making mistakes that can cost you thousands. My goal is to provide my clients with focused, cost-effective, yet practical legal solutions. So let me help you with your legal needs. Call me today, 713-300-9662.
Hey, I'm Michael Rager, your business guide. We're back here on Biz Talk TV on all the NowMedia Television networks. Hey, we got a good friend, Roland Parker from Impress Computers. Roland, how are you today?
Michael, great to be back on the show and enjoying this lovely, cool weather.
Well, yeah, after what happened earlier in the week, it's been kind of interesting. Hey, so let me ask you this question. There's something I hear about all the time, CRMs. What's a CRM, and why do we need it as a business owner?
So it's one of the most important things that a business owner is ever going to put as a tool to be in touch with their customers and their prospects. So CRM, what is it? Customer Relationship Management Software. And we see a lot of businesses, they start off, they might have their QuickBooks and they may have an email system, but it becomes a very inefficient way to deal with both their current customers and their prospects. Because let's face it, what is the most important thing that you want to do with your customers? You want to stay in touch with them, you want to schedule meetings with them, and then you want to stay in contact with your prospects. But as you get bigger, how do you keep all of that in one place without going crazy? And how do you communicate with now thousands of people? So that's where the CRM comes into it. And so let's have a look, and we'll start with keeping in contact with your current customers. Well, with your current customers, you want to be able to sort things out, see what opportunities you're working on with your current customers, and have an easy way to go to one place where you can have all of your communication. You might be sending them email tips about your business that's useful for them. You might be wanting to schedule meetings. So like with us, we schedule meetings on a quarterly basis. If I was to manually try and sit down and schedule that, it would take too long. But with the CRM, it's easy. We send out an email saying it's time to have your quarterly meeting. That's all automated. They then can click on a link. It links with appointment call, and they can schedule that meeting with us. It links to my calendar, so they can pick a time that's free for me and free for them, and that makes it easy.
Yeah, it's one of the things that, even me and my business, we're switching CRMs because we're looking to make things easier. Like you said, we've got too many clients, we've got too many prospects, and we have to continually manually go in and try to connect with them. It's hard. So what are some of the options that business owners have in CRMs out there in the market right now?
So there's, really, Michael, there's so many.
Yeah, there are.
And it's become more and more complicated. So we found a pretty good one for a startup company would be something like Zoho, where it's relatively easy to start. You can get plugged into it, and then there's got a lot of upgrade opportunities as you go down the road, because you want to be able to stay in contact with your you're building up a database of prospects. But how do you stay in contact with them? First of all, you've got to build up that base. Then you've got to put it into some type of CRM, and then you've got to get their permission to email them, and then have a way to communicate without taking up too much of your time. And Zoho is a pretty good way to get around that, and it can also upgrade.
Well, can I ask you a question about that? You said something about getting permissions. And if somebody, I meet them out, I go to cocktails, networking events, something, and somebody gives me their business card, is that permission?
So if they're giving you their business card, I would say that yes, they're giving you permission, but I would still reach out to them and say, hey, I met you at this event, I'd like to stay in touch with you. Is it okay if I send you an email? Just to make sure that you get that double opt-in process. Because if somebody's just met with you, you've got their business card, you still don't really want to annoy people by to consider you as a spammer. And if you get blacklisted, your websites, it can take your website down, it can take your email system down. You don't want to be in that position. So you always want to request permission. Hey, is it okay if I stay in contact with you?
Yeah, I've had that. I actually had where my website once got blacklisted. I had no idea how it happened. And it took us about 6 weeks to get back up and figure out what happened. And it, as we talk a lot of the time, we start talking about malicious stuff. Today we're talking about actually how we go ahead and grow our business. But what are some other things that a good CRM system can help us as a business owner do?
So in addition with keeping all your contacts in one place, you can actually do things like set up your appointments, scheduling. An easy way, if a prospect lands on your website, they can click on a form, fill it in, and then select a time. Hey, I want to know more about your business. And that'll automatically schedule that with you. And then you've got all of the information flows that will go through that. So you can actually start putting in, if a customer wants, if he clicks on this, send him that. If he opts out, take him this way. If he doesn't want any information for a while. So it's just that whole information flow that's going to make your life so much easier and to stay in contact with both your prospects and your customers.
Well, it's one thing we were talking about earlier before we went on camera is you got to make sure you got a good assistant that can do that, because you don't want to be doing that as a business owner, do you?
And you really want to work with somebody who knows your CRM, so you need to get with them, get a Sherpa, get it set up correctly, because boy, once you start getting in depth into those CRMs, it can get really deep and really complicated, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to get lost. So staying in contact with your customers, reaching out to them, keeping all of those sales opportunities, because you want to be able to get an opportunity, put it into your CRM, and follow it through to its completion. And if you don't have those flows set up correctly, if you're not able to quote correctly and then set the appointment and then follow that through to the conclusion, all of your opportunities are going to start getting lost, because you just lose them in amongst everything else that's going on with your day.
Well, if you see my desk, you know where it's lost. Instead of that big pile of business cards that I haven't put into my, the old way we used to do it, right? Business cards, throw them into a spreadsheet, put them into here and hope you remember to email them, right?
And if you're just keeping, spreadsheets are great to get an overview.
Yeah.
And most CRMs will allow you to export to a spreadsheet, because sometimes people find, well, I've got all this stuff in my CRM, but I still want to visually see everything that I've got. And you can export, you can put people into different verticals that they're in. And you say, okay, these are the construction, this is engineering, these are my CPAs, and I just want to look at CPAs. I just want to email CPAs. Or you might have something relevant, like the storm that came through, and say, don't forget you've got to have things plugged into a UPS, or disconnect everything from the power until the storm has passed. And you've got to have an easy way to say, I'm going to send 5,000 people that I've done business with or potentially done business with a good tip on how to protect themselves. And a CRM is going to be able to do that at a blink of an eye.
Yeah, that's one thing that I look at is how do I group, because I don't want everybody to see everything that I'm sending out email-wise. And we just left one CRM, and we had groups, new one, we got a tag. And it's a new thing, and it's just learning new verbiage and new nomenclature. So if people want to get a hold of you, Roland, how do they do that? And how are you going to hook them up with CRM systems?
So the best thing to do, give us a call, 281-647-9977, or reach us on the web at impresscomputers.tech, which is IMPRESS computers.tech. And we can just sit down with you and give you some advice on what CRM to look for and what's the best platform to make sure that everything's backed up and how to protect your data.
Well, that's great information, Roland. Thanks a lot. So I'm Michael Rager, your business guide. We're going to be back right after this.
Thanks, Michael.
Working through the legal system is challenging and risky, especially if you don't have the right attorney at your side. Hi, my name is Sonia Aston, and I'm an attorney with over 30 years of experience. I've helped small and medium-sized businesses and business owners to make sure that their legal rights and interests are protected. As general counsel for you and your organization, I can draft and review solid contracts, minimize the risk of litigation, review and prepare comprehensive business succession plans, or help you navigate your company with the local, state, and federal government. Take a decisive step today. I'm here to make sure your legal rights are protected and you have a peace of mind that you deserve.
Hey, I'm your busy guide, Michael Rager, and this has been a great show today on Biz Talk TV. I'm telling you, there's just so many great things we learned from the people that we had on the show today. One of the favorites for me today was Jen Jago, and she's talking about taking your numbers and actually moving it around. If you've never read any of Stephen Covey, he did one on, I think it was the 5 Pillars of Execution, and he talked about keeping score. And in business owners, we got to keep score. And here's how we know if people are keeping score. Right? If you've ever been to a park, right, and you're walking around the park and there's a basketball court, how do you tell if the kids are actually keeping score? I'm going to tell you, if they're not keeping score, they're just lollygagging around. They're kind of running around, shooting, missing, not caring, joking, yada, yada, yada. If they're keeping score, they're playing tough, man. They're getting in there. They're playing defense. They're pushing. They're really getting out there to block the shot. They're really moving there offensively to get in and actually score. I'm telling you, with your team, if you go keep score, you're going to be able to tell who's goofing around and who's actually playing to win. Because you as the business owner, Matthew said it, in his segment, the business owner said I should fire myself. The business owner wasn't keeping score himself. He wasn't going out there and playing hard. And that's what you need to do as a business owner. You need to go out there and play hard and play to win. If you play to win, you're going to go ahead and see it. If you follow me on Monday, we got something that's called Be a Shark Monday. You got to go out there and be a shark. And there's some words that I can't say here on TV that I say on my podcast and I say on on those posts. But the reason we say Be a Shark Monday is sharks are the biggest, meanest, baddest things in the ocean. All right, they go out there and they don't care about anything else, and they're out there to win every day. There's an old adage that says every day on the Savannah Plain, there's an impala trying to run faster than the lion, and there's one lion that's out there, trying to move faster than the slowest impala. And we need to be able to look at that and win in our business. So this is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide. Let's go out there and help your business win. Make sure you join us next week here on Biz Talk TV, here on the NowMedia Television networks. You go out there and make it a great day.